Welcome to this week's Down Home with Tina. I'm your host, Tina Thompson. I've got a couple of fellas coming up from Charity Newsies in my first segment. And then we're going to, for the first time on the DHWT show, get the opportunity to catch up with Sheriff Lape. It is his first year in office, and we're going to just find out some fun things and like that. It's going to be a fun show, folks. And also, I've got a tip that I want to give you at the end of the show. Also, as always, a positive quote, because we can never leave, especially with the holidays around, leave you without a positive quote. So don't go anywhere. We've got lots of fun ahead. It's Down Home with Tina.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area where the fountain is and the memorials and the flags and all this stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. So excited to have the president of the Lancaster-Fairfield County Charity Newsies, Colt Huffer, and he is going to just talk with us just a little bit of the history about Charity Newsies, why he decided to join, and a whole lot of different things that you guys coming up for the holiday season, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's really our season's the end of the year. This just kind of ramps up from about August on. It's just kind of wham, 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 and then we kind of drop off in the early part of the year, and then we start picking back up late summer, early fall, and it just gets busy. So right now is our busy part of the season. Yeah,
but it's true to say that you guys do keep busy throughout the entire year, and we're going to talk, I know, a little bit more about that probably a little bit here in the second segment when we have Greg Russell on,
yes,
Chief Investigator for the Charity Newsies. But so tell us, why did you decide to join Charity Newsies, Colt?
So I was originally president of Fairfield County Ducks Unlimited, and Ducks Unlimited does a lot of great things for wildlife conservation, but they're a federally based program, so the money kind of goes where it's most needed, and that's kind of what attracted me to the Lancaster-Fairfield County Charity Newsies, is that every single penny that gets donated to a Newsie member stays here. And as a kind of a trial basis, I started out doing the food box drive, and I delivered by myself a few boxes, and the experiences I had when I was doing that just really kind of hooked me in. And then at the time, our chief investigator, Jim Bowes, he had a very pulling at your heartstrings way of filing his report at the meetings, and when we had those meetings, it was that's kind of what really kept me.
You felt like you were making a difference in the lives of these folks in our community, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned Jim, and I know also Fred Strauser. You lost 2 amazing fellas that were part of Charity Newsies this past year, haven't you?
Yeah, and I mean, whether you talk about Fred's dedication to our history, every time we would have a report or a email that Fred would email the general membership, he would just provide a history lesson about who we are, where we came from, and who our forefathers were as Newsies. And it was just so incredible. And Jim Bowes he touched so many different charities. I mean, you cannot mention a charity in Fairfield County that Jim Bowes didn't touch, and the man had a tremendous, tremendous heart.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I know their shoes cannot be filled, but
Right.
hopefully you can find folks that are just as passionate. It sounds like you're going right down that same road yourself by just
Well.
the way it sounds. But you have some auction. The auction, is it a
Yes.
yearly annual thing that you do?
Yeah, and it's we do that every year. And last year, as kind of a brief backstep here, when you become president, it's pretty much accepted that you start out as second vice, you move to first vice, and you move to where I'm at, full-blown presidency. And each year you have different job requirements. Well, last year my job requirement was the banquet. Well, COVID hit, and it was just a crazy, crazy year. And we kind of had to reinvent the wheel. We had to do an online auction. We had to find the place that fit for us the best. And I'm really proud to say that we're able to do it in person again this year. And our guy, Nate Peters, he's incredible. That man will mine data all day long, and he is a perfectionist when it comes to exacting details. So it's going to be a really good banquet this year.
Okay, so it is a banquet. This is only members that are invited to this banquet?
No, it's open to the general public.
Okay.
But typically what we do is we send out invitations, and then we get RSVPs back. So if you know a newsie, or you want to reach out through our website or our Facebook page and you would like to come, please do so, and we'll get them an invitation.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's continuing to give back to those in the community
Right.
who are
Every
needing it.
single penny comes right back here in Fairfield County to help families.
I know we haven't even got a chance to talk about the food boxes,
Right.
which is something that the money goes towards for families in the community, as well as other things.
Right. So the food boxes, I don't know if you've seen them, Tina, but they are bigger than this table here. They're probably about this much longer. They're about the height of the table, and they're about this deep, and they're full top to bottom with dry goods. And then they get a half gallon of chocolate milk, white milk, and orange juice. They get a cold box with that as well that's packed with probably 10 pounds of various meats. And we do that times 500 families.
Wow. Wow. Now, and we may have to go to Greg and ask Greg about
Sure.
how you all find out what folks in the community need those food boxes. Anything else you wanted to share, though, before we move on, take a break, and get to Greg?
No, I just want to thank people like Greg. Greg stepped up. We spoke about Jim, we spoke about Fred, and Jim's absence left us with a great void. And I can't think of a better guy than Greg to fill that.
Yeah, I never had the opportunity to meet Jim, but I heard great things about him. So awesome. All right, thank you so much for being with me. And don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be right back. I've got Greg Russell, who's Chief Investigator of the Lancaster-Fairfield County Charity Newsies. It's Down Him with Tina.
Life is unpredictable. That's why estate planning is important. Estate planning provides you comfort and peace of mind knowing that you're taking care of your loved ones and ensuring your legacy lives on just as you envisioned. You lived a life that is beautifully and uniquely yours. You deserve an estate planning attorney who understands that and creates a plan as unique as you and in the best interest of your loved ones. You deserve the local, trusted, experienced attorneys at Dagger Law.
It's Down Him with Tina, and I have got Greg Russell. He is the Chief Investigator of the Lancaster-Fairfield County Charity Newsies. And I'm so glad to have you on, because being the Chief Investigator, and I know we're going to get to talking about, what I had mentioned last segment with Colt about the food boxes and how families can sign up or figure out. But what is Chief Investigator first? Because that is your title, Greg.
Well, and I'm honored to fulfill the shoes of Jim Bowes. We certainly didn't want to lose Jim, but I think he was like only the fourth since 1936. The Newsies has been in existence.
Wow. So
I'm quite honored to fill his shoes, which I helped him about the last year while he was ill, and then took it over. But basically, when we have a fire or somebody in need, they call our hotline, or they'll call me directly, and then we assist. Any Charity Newsie member we consider an investigator. They have a voucher book. They're more than welcome to assist somebody. They don't have to call me and say, "Is it okay?" They're a investigator just like I am. I just happen to hold that title, and I'm the first one they call. And Colt's been a great asset to me, with me working up in Heath, Ohio. If there is a fire or something like that, I'm used to just running right out to the fire, and I can't do that sometimes. And Colt's been great helping me out and going and taking care of the individuals.
And I don't think the general public knows about that until like now, and spreading the news and talking about some of those different things that Charity Newsies do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't
community.
see a lot of floods here, but we've had some issues. But there's a variety of things. Just it can be unforeseen circumstances. You can have some domestic situations that has happened, and Susan Nixon Stoughton has reached out to me and said, hey, this person's going to get into a housing. Can we help them out? And absolutely, we can do that. So the main thing is the fires, and then of course what we do for the food boxes. And I know you want to kind of go into that.
Yeah, because Colt said 500 boxes.
Colt had mentioned about 500 families that we assist. We box them the night on Friday night, and then that Saturday before Christmas, we deliver those boxes. All the Newsy members get together, and they can bring some helpers, and especially young people that see what we see out there, and how people really need our assistance. So basically what they do, they reach out to Information Referral 211 and put their name in application-wise, and they can also come to one of the Newsies and ask to be put on the list as well.
So as far as filling the food boxes, you
We
can
do
have
that.
folks. Yeah, you do
Yes.
that. Charity Newsies, you do that. But you also will allow some volunteers to come in to help as well, or is it a Charity
we
Newsies
didn't
like
last
the younger?
year because of COVID.
Oh,
we just
yeah.
kind of kept that down. But yes, to come and deliver. We've got some churches that some of the young kids like to come and assist, and they see exactly what we see out into the community, and it's very heartwarming. We had one that he tells a story all the time. Delivered the box and said, "Look, Mommy, chocolate milk." It's like they'd never seen chocolate milk. So something that we always kind of cherish in the Newsies when somebody says something like that. So
sometimes there are some of us that take for granted for the things that we have that we don't realize that a lot of people can't afford or don't have.
And as I was telling you about 211, always reach out to 211 Information Referral, because if they need to reach out to me, they certainly will. I sit on the 211 board as well, so I'm able to give them information, say, hey, there is another organization, whether it's St. Vincent's or Community Action, that can help them out. We do mainly food and clothing is what we do, and we do our clothing at Walmart.
Okay, you do.
Yes, and we do Save a Lot as our food. They're great to us. And I wanted to also tell you on the back to school clothes. We did over 500 families and touched probably about 640 kids that we touched for back to school clothes.
And once again, the same thing. You go through the 211 and the whole process.
Correct. They apply through 211. They actually do the interview process, and then this year we met at Crossroads Church, and it was a perfect location, nice big area, and they come, and our Charity Newsies members interview, kind of a second interview, and talk to them and write the voucher, and then they go down to Walmart and take their kids and go shopping.
So they do their own little shopping with
do.
the kids, which I think that is such a big thing when it comes to back to school. What do you think of for back to school shopping for yourself and getting some new things and picking it out on your own? How many years have you been involved, Greg?
Actually, this is my 16th year that I've been a member. It's just I've always been involved in the community, and I just I've been asked to be in other organizations, and I just give 1,000% to Charity Newsies.
What does it take to become a member?
You just get a hold of one of us and ask, and we will get you an application from Mr. Isles, our membership chairman, and he will fill out the application. It's basically an easy process. You come in to our officers and trustees meeting, tell why you want to become a Newsie.
Okay.
And then we also invite you to speak in front of the whole entire membership.
How many?
And say,
do you know how many?
Well, we have about 125 members roughly, but not all of them obviously come to the meetings.
Right.
But anyhow, they'll say why they want to be a Newsie, and we've never turned anybody down.
No, do you have annual dues and things like
We
that
do,
as well?
we do.
To help
but
with the membership?
the initial one is about $100 because you get a jumpsuit to wear at the paper drive, and that was something else I think that that is a big money raiser for us.
Yeah, what is the paper drive?
The paper drive is where we have multiple locations where they hawk the papers, as we use the terminology.
Okay.
They make donations.
Okay.
And we do quite well with that as well. So, and there again, Jeremy Kress is the chairman for that. He's the first vice president, and that's his responsibility.
So can you be involved as much as you want to be involved?
Absolutely.
Can?
We can use assistance in multiple areas.
Greg, have we missed anything that I wanted to make sure?
Our saying is, how about them Newsies?
That's
and we're
right.
proud to be a part of this Lancaster and Fairfield County.
Yep, and you'll be involved probably for as long as you can possibly be involved.
Absolutely.
Now you have those shoes to
Yes,
step into,
yes.
maybe not completely filled yet. You're learning.
I learned a lot from Mr. Bose.
But I'm
very,
sure
very
that
much.
you are. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it took them. Yes, for somebody to decide on who they were going to have. If there's only 4 of you prior, you said.
I'm proud to be chosen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good luck to you.
Tina,
and to
thanks for
Charity
having
Newsies.
Colt and I on the
So
show.
fun.
It's always a pleasure.
Awesome seeing you, Greg. Yeah, I don't get to see you as much as we used to, but we still can from time and again,
Absolutely.
right? Folks, don't go anywhere. You're watching Down Home with Tina. Going to come back with Sheriff Lape in just a couple of minutes, see what's going on around the county.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
It's Down Home with Tina, and I have got Sheriff Alex Lape with me, and he just took over this past year, within the past year. And oh my goodness, first off, I just want to welcome you to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with me. And what has it been like so far for you?
Well, I appreciate the invitation to join you today. Actually, I assumed office on January the 4th, so since January the 4th, it's been quite an eye-opening experience in a lot of ways. Some things that I didn't anticipate were the difficulties in hiring folks. And it looks like at this point in time we've kind of made it through that. We've gone through a lot of new employee indoctrination, orientation, and processing, and I didn't anticipate, as I said, just that being the primary thing that I'd be doing, along with the necessary other things that have to happen at the same time. So,
how many years have you been in law enforcement, for those who are unfamiliar with you?
I started in 1992, so it's coming up close, working on my 30th year. So, it's I used to work in the automotive and aerospace industry, and I started as an auxiliary actually at the sheriff's office. And when those good jobs in the aerospace went elsewhere, I had the option to follow the job, and I decided to kind of stay here and start.
What did you do exactly?
I worked for McDonnell Douglas, Rockwell, different military programs that they had in manufacturing, the C-17, B-1 bomber, things like that. And I worked for a subcontractor for General Motors for a period of time, but quality control.
Yeah.
And a quality control kind of work was what I was familiar with, and it kind of pairs a bit with law enforcement because of the high revised code and the laws and all the specifications and things like that kind of go along with the quality control aspect of production. So it was interesting to me, and once, as they say, it gets in your blood, and the idea of serving the community and helping people, and just the pay was not commensurate, but it worked out okay.
Yeah, so you said you were an auxiliary?
Auxiliary,
sheriff?
Yeah, when I first started.
Or for deputy?
Yep.
Into the sheriff's office. And then what happened? Like,
well,
why did you suddenly go, I'm going to make a life change, and this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, and that was the piece that, from a financial sense, it didn't. It wasn't a wash. It wasn't just a lateral movement. There was a little bit of an adjustment there, but that was okay with me because I really do enjoy helping people out, helping, providing service to the community and doing the things that, in my view, are necessary for us to have a prosperous society.
Did you ever see yourself as holding office as the sheriff of Fairfield County?
You know, I didn't spend a lot of time contemplating that until maybe further down the road in my career. I mean, it's always the at one point, you know, I just wanted to kind of learn as much as I could learn and do as much as I can do in different capacities. And that's one of the great things about the sheriff's office. It offers a lot of variety in things that you can do that you may not have available to you in, say, a municipal police department. You know, at the time when I started, we had a really robust mounted unit, the canine, you know, the tactical positions, and there's just so many things, along with actually, you know, when you start working in the jail.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a good place to learn a lot of stuff and figure some things out that may be going on in the community, and talking to folks that are actually incarcerated and learning some things about their lives. And it's really benefited me in the long run, because I have that kind of experience where I think a lot of people never have that interaction.
You guys take up, well, so much of Fairfield County. What's that like, being over so many of the men and women that are the deputies?
Well, it's
out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, everywhere. It's like
you know, the county's 505 square miles. There are 13 townships and 13 municipalities within the county. So it goes from the northern northwest corner, where it's pretty much an urban environment, to when you go south of Lancaster, there are still roads that aren't paved, and some may or may not have a road sign. Those are kind of quickly becoming a thing of the past, but early on it wasn't uncommon to be in the southern part of the county and driving on a dirt road. There's still a few.
Is there any one maybe thing that you're finding that is out there that the general public needs to be careful of and aware of, as far as maybe safety, or if they're driving alone, or if they're, I mean, I know there's common sense things that some of us, you know, usually if you're going to go out by yourself late at night, let somebody know when you're leaving, let them know when you're back. We've got cell phones these days. Some have trackers, some don't. Any recommendation? Or?
Well, you know, and that's the thing that's kind of changed over time, is technology, like we've all experienced in our lives, and it definitely has affected public service, public safety in the county. It used to be that if somebody was alongside the road and looked like their vehicle was broken down, we would always stop, and we still do if it appears that they're in need of assistance. But you know, early on, that was par for the course. You always stop to check on a motorist to make sure that they didn't need you to contact somebody. But everybody has a cell phone today. A lot of times I found myself stopping to assist somebody, and they were actually stopped to talk on their phone or to send an email, or you know, things like that. So that's really changed. I guess the thing that is the biggest issue that I see going on today are the online fraud scams. But that would only be second to, unfortunately, the drug problem that we see in all communities in the country, and it's never just a drug problem. It's coupled with a theft issue, somebody being victimized in some way in order for somebody to be able to support a habit that they have unfortunately taken on. You know, it's once they start down that road, it's a hard thing to reverse.
How do you stay up on the training? Because you had just said in Fairfield County, you have the urban areas, and then you have the really rural areas where they're dirt roads. Do you do the same training for everybody, so they are just across the board ready for anything? Because it's quite a large range of different lifestyles and demographics, everything.
Everybody consistently receives the same type training. I think it kind of comes down to the individual deputy to accommodate or to acclimate themselves to the climate that they're in. Theft is theft, whether it's in the northern or southern part of the county. What you do see are differing trends in the type of crimes or calls for service that we're responding to, given different locales.
Yeah. So how many at one time are out on duty?
Well, it can range anywhere from at least 7 to up to 10 or 15, depending on the shift and the time of day and things like that.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Are you currently hiring?
We're always hiring. We're always accepting applications. We have since January started hiring more civilian personnel to work as corrections officers.
Okay.
Once they get through the vetting process and they obtain employment, then we provide the training. They go through an immediate 16-week training period on the job type training, and then we have up to a year to get them certified by the state. Usually when they go through that initial training, the 16 weeks with a mentor or field training officer, they're prepared for that.
I just want to thank you for just doing all that you've done for almost 30 years, you said, and making the that leap into making a big change and doing what you do for our community is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you wanted to share with anybody? I know the holidays are coming up, so.
Well, it's the normal thing. If you're out shopping, make sure that you keep your purchases in your trunk. Don't leave things out in plain view.
Okay.
Don't leave things of value in your vehicle. It's the same thing that we say all the time, and it's the same thing that continues to happen. So just be smart about it and take precautions.
Yes, very good advice. And I'm just going to give you a Tina tip. Take a picture wherever you're parked. I'm just saying. You want to know where it is when you walk out and when you walk in if it's the well. Thank you so much, Sheriff Lape.
Okay.
I'll be back. It's Down Here with Tina.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Down Here with Tina is brought to you by these wonderful sponsors. What else do I have to share with you? You know what? This time of year, with the cooler weather, something I like to do is bake pies. And it's one of my tips. I may have shared it before, but I think this is very, very important when making pies. It was several years ago when I resided in Western New York that I got to know an Amish family there. And it was kind of funny because some of the conversations that we were very different lifestyles from mine and theirs. First off, they don't like to have pictures taken or anything like that. So that's huge with me, especially now on camera, and they don't even know it. But we would have some really cool and interesting conversations about stuff. But one of the things was they were talking about when they would bake and making pies. I've never been one that I like to cook a whole lot. I do make a couple of dishes I think that are my specialties, but I like to bake pies, more so than even cakes, because I'm not a great decorator. My pie crust may not look beautiful when the pie is all finished, but I like to think that it's very tasty. And I give the credit to my friend from Western New York, Amish gal, her name is Elizabeth, and they had a quilt shop. And anyway, so what she recommended is when you go to make your homemade pies, I go by the recipe somewhat on the Crisco, when you buy the Crisco like blocks. I don't know if it's on the can for sure, but I like to wear, it's like looks like the butter sticks or Crisco sticks. It gives you the measurements. That's just so much easier to use. But in there, typically you have the pie crust recipe. Well, what I recommend and what she told me to do, and I have done it ever since, and it will take typically more of it than what it would the water. When it says to add so many tablespoons of water, add buttermilk. I'm telling you, it gives a completely different flavor to your crust. And usually when you make it, you have two different crusts, so you can make it a pumpkin pie doesn't have a top crust, so you want to plan on making 2 different pumpkin pies or an apple pie or something like that. So anyways, that is my tip for you today and something like that. I hope that you just do take the time to do something fun for yourself. Maybe it'll be going to one of the upcoming events that I'm going to talk about coming up in the next week. Or also, if you get a chance to volunteer or do something special for those in the community, because I know that there are so many great nonprofits that are looking for volunteers. I hope you have a wonderful week. God bless.